Are we on? Are we live? Okay. Hello everybody. Welcome to our show, The Loose Mystics. I'm Kate May, tarot psychic medium, and I'm here every time on the show with my partner in crime, Paula Restel, who's also a psychic medium. Today we have Mystic Mandy also with us. Mandy is otherwise known as Dodgy Mandy. She provides all our stock for our lovely shop that we've got. So all the crystals, all the goodies, Mandy provides them. She's also a children's face painter, which is ironic really, because she don't really like children. She's
done my makeup this morning.
Paula is the calm and the collective and the one that doesn't get all fiery. So no one ever.
I try not to.
And I'm the control freak, apparently.
No,
So,
apparently.
today's topic is on soulmates and twin flames, and we put a little post out a couple of weeks ago, and we have got a few viewers that put in their opinions. Now Paula and I will be doing some live readings with you guys today, but we have terms with that. If you would like a card pulled for you, then you have to chip in with a comment on either the soulmates or the twin flames, whatever it is that you think soulmate is or a twin flame is. We've got our opinions, we want to hear yours. That's the whole point of the show, so that we can get a little bit of different interests, different opinions. We're not sure until we really die what is right or wrong, so it's really interesting to see what everybody thinks. So we're going to start with a couple of people. We'll start with Mandy, who you've got, with some guys that did pop in. Hello to everyone that's coming up live.
No,
Oh, close, sorry.
the benefits
And
of
that's
live
the
recording,
benefits of
yes.
live recording. Yeah, okay. So we're going to start with Mandy.
Right. Terry Benfield, he said that when lifelong couples pass within minutes of each other, that's what confirms it for him that we have like soulmates, because obviously I suppose he means that they can't survive it without each other.
So what was that? Say that again.
He said that when their lifelong couples pass within minutes of each other, that confirms it for him that they're
Soulmates. Okay, that's interesting.
So I suppose he just thinks that they can't survive or
I've
don't
heard
want
of-
to
I've
be
heard of
like
that.
with each other. I don't know.
I haven't heard of that one before. My feeling on soulmates, well, actually I've changed my opinion. My first feeling on soulmates was that it was someone that you totally fell in love with, that you had everything going together, that everything was sound, it was your perfect relationship. That's what I thought a soulmate was, and then I've changed my opinion, and now I think that your soulmate could be someone that actually does you the most damage, so your soul can grow.
Yeah. I was the same as you, that's what I thought at first.
Again,
And then I heard and that people that they'll come into your life, completely turn it upside down,
Yeah.
and then bug off.
Yeah.
And
But
then,
we're-
so when you need it.
We're here to learn lessons, aren't we?
Yeah.
So that these people are part of our lessons. whether
That's
it's
what,
good or bad.
was it Pippa Jo Marsden? She said she believes that they're teachers, not necessarily people that we stay with. So there's something that we learn from you.
I
We've
think
got something to learn.
Yeah, we always learn something from that person, and whatever that is, whether they help us along with our strengths or whatever it is that it's not always a positive.
Sometimes it's a
experience.
kick up the backside though as well, isn't it? That
Yeah,
you need.
yeah.
They'll come
For your
in
soul
and
to
just.
grow. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I like the idea of meeting your perfect person.
Is that
I like
like the
that.
twin flame though? Is that
Apparently,
not where the twin flame is
apparently,
rather than the
yeah.
soulmate?
So what's your interpretation of the twin flame then, man?
I'd never heard of it before, and then so I did a little bit of research in it, and they said
Good on
that
Google.
that it doesn't matter like what continent on, at some point you will find each other through synchronicity. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter about age or anything else, and that when you find each other, it's like a perfect completeness
Oh,
of,
that's
like,
us.
of happiness and just kind of. And the power grows, and that you share lots of very like-minded type
Oh, that would
things.
be us.
And that you can't. There's no point in searching. They say there's no point in
No.
searching for the twin flame. You will find
You will
them
find
if
it.
it's destined to be. Yeah.
Mm.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, how many people are in relationships like that? So,
Yeah,
not very many, I wouldn't have
But I
thought.
don't think you need to be in a lovey-dovey relationship. It can be a friendship relationship where you would have a twin flame.
Do you think so?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just thought it was like.
Yeah, does it have to be a romantic connection? Can it just be where you've got a really strong closeness there?
What do you think, Colin? What's your...
So, for me, it's all about opinion, and nobody really knows for sure. So you just have to go with your own feelings. And for me, it's complicated, really, a lot more complicated than it sounds.
But it got an hour.
Yeah. So for me, the twin flame thing over the years and the soulmate thing have always been like a parallel. It's just another terminology for soulmates. And it doesn't necessarily mean for me that you get a connection for life, and yet it can. It doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship that you share for whatever period or length of time is going to be a loving one, necessarily. On the other hand, for me, you get a lot of harsh, you can get just as equally tough lessons from soulmates or twin flames, whatever you want to use in that terminology. And so it could be the one that instigates a big learning for you and for them, one way or the other, and it could be on a love level, it could be on a business level, it could be on any life-changing thing really that instigates like big upheaval or completeness one way or the other. But they're there for whether a small period, short period, or a long period. But there's a definite connection, and like Mandy was saying, you don't have to go looking. It's preordained. It's in, if you like, in the stars. You're gonna meet, and if this situation needs to come out, one way or the other, you will meet them, and it will happen for definite.
Does that mean then that you're not necessarily ever going to meet a twin flame in your life, if you know what I mean?
Well, it depends for me. It depends on what you instigate. I mean, we all have different views about how much of our life is preordained before we're born, and how much actual freedom of choice we have in that. I'm a firm believer that a portion of your current life is preordained because there's certain things you want to learn, and so they're there, and you will do those things. Now, it doesn't mean that they happen at a certain moment or a certain time. You can divert. That's where the freedom comes in. You make a choice. It takes you away from that situation.
So you mean you might actually direct yourself away from
Yeah,
the
but
flame?
if it's within that universal plan
It's
for
meant
you,
to be.
you'll be pulled back one
So,
way
right, but just you make it difficult for
or
yourself,
another.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's where the lessons, the freedom of life and stuff is for me.
So it can take a lifetime then. You might not end up meeting them right until the last bit of your life because you've
No, it's
interfered and messed around and
Yeah,
just kind
that
of...
possibility is always there, but I always think, because I have total trust in that aspect, that for me, if it's preordained, it'll happen more or less at the right time. Because you get into situations in your life, and it's like, you know, you go for a job, and your job application depends on so many other people's circumstances, and you might get refused that job or it doesn't work, whatever. But it's not that you weren't meant for it. The time is not right. You could go back for that same job 2 months
I
later.
did that a year later.
Well, there you go,
Yeah.
and you walk straight into it
I did.
because we're not the
Yeah,
only
yeah,
one
I
in the
did that.
plan. We're part of the bigger
Yeah.
picture. And people
Right.
forget why me, might be well because so and so's not ready, or because that isn't ready. Things have to be in place.
I suppose it's a bit like relationships, isn't it? That actually they come together because you hear of people in relationships and then it doesn't work and then they come together.
That's like you.
People
Me
that
and-
find
me
each
and
other after
Martin,
50
yeah.
years, isn't it? They like
12
earlier
years
in the
later,
marriage.
12
Martin.
years later, we're back together.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I wasn't in the right place at the time, so I had to go away and learn about
Yeah.
being on my own in relationships and loving myself, and then we got back together. So that could
Yeah,
play a
yeah.
huge part. But
Rebecca,
yeah, soulmates is not always.
it's not always nice. Rebecca, Elizabeth, Eager, our Bex. Soulmates help you grow and understand yourself on a deeper level. Learn lessons. They can be friends, family, lovers, etc.
Yeah, totally agree with you,
Or
Becky.
enemies, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or enemies.
Red
Yeah.
harmony. When you experience a twin flame, you become whole. You taste divine. That's
Ooh.
nice. I like that.
Yeah,
I
nice
like,
analogy.
I like that.
Kirsty Connolly says that you can have millions of soulmates but only one twin flame.
I've heard that.
So that's
Apparently,
like-
is that
But
true?
you
do you
just, that
think?
doesn't
I
fit what
don't.
you say, is it?
Yeah, because soulmate is something special. So there's a special connection, and although you can have good connections and maybe heartfelt connections with lots of people, soulmate for me indicates something more than that, and so it's kind of unique in its connection with you and someone else. I would think you could have a connection like that with more than one in a
Millions.
lifetime. But, excuse me, but tens, 20s, 50s, hundreds. For me, and it doesn't make me right or wrong, it's just like it doesn't sit with me in that. I think it's pure.
I know
It's
I've had
not
a
pure.
soul connection with someone else, and then I've felt it with Cole, definitely. And then, but not in every relationship. I've felt that real connection.
But I wonder where it comes from. Is it a spark from that soul? You know, the twin flame. Is it is it from, because there was a theory about, you know, when our soul plan, it's where, oh, I'm trying to think, it is yeah, but he's been Googling it, hasn't he? That's
I
what
haven't, it's just my opinion.
come on, tell the truth,
It's
Colin.
my opinion,
That's
that's
why
all.
we're stuck. You've been Googling it this morning. He was on his
Don't
phone an
bother.
hour ago. But no, apparently it is a small speck of the same soul that splits. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Yeah, it
There's
does
a-
make sense
yeah,
to me.
Thank you very
Your,
much.
or your soul,
And I didn't even Google that.
your soul group,
That's it.
your soul group.
Ah.
It
That
could
was
be
in
one or the other.
science.
They both sound pretty nice to me. One or the other. You're
Yeah.
someone that's on your same level, your same soul group,
Yeah.
or could in fact be a portion of yourself
Yeah.
spiritually.
Yeah.
What, that would be the twin flame part.
Same thing for
Whatever
me.
it is.
It depends what you think. It's just an opinion.
a bit narcissistic though, isn't it? I really like you because you're like me. You're having a bit of yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
But then, see, when I met Wayne, when I met her husband, I instantly,
You
I
just-
just felt comfortable immediately.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, you know, like you say, what was that, all this, that, it was just like, you know, like as if part of your arm was missing and now it's there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
And how long have you been together?
32 years.
Wow.
We met and married within a couple
Have
of
an
months. We met and married within a couple of months. And we were actually
Yeah.
visiting together for a couple of months. And everybody that came to our wedding said it wouldn't last, and they're all divorced, and me and Wayne are the only
Wow.
people
Yeah.
who are actually still together.
Have another egg.
Thank you very much. Keep going, I'll get the box.
Oh, we got Zach Taylor.
Hello, Zach.
Hello, Zach. He says, I feel there is more than one soul.
Yeah,
I
so
do.
again, that's
Yeah.
I think there is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So again, what's your views? Have we got,
Have we got
any more
anyone-
views on it?
I don't know, I couldn't find
Colin's
it.
got his
You
hand
haven't
up
got me on it properly. So for me also, another way to look back or think about it is look back on your life also, not just in the lovey-dovey, lovely relationships. Look back at someone who you were with short term, whether it's business, personal, whatever, and if try and think back to someone, and you shouldn't have to think too hard, that really did have a big connection for you, and you thought, oh, this is perfect, whether my business is going to boom or my relationship's going to boom, but actually, it was so short-lived, and yet it was one of the toughest short spans of time that you've gone through, whether it was complete and emotional upset, collapse within the home, or work, finance, all of those things, look back and think, you know, who really taught me one of the biggest lessons of my life, even though it was a short span of time.
And you never forget it, do
Just
you?
because you're not feeling that emotion in that, because it's not all about love, doesn't mean that on the same level, that is not a soul connection, because they've come in and taught you that huge lesson.
We've got a few live guys, and Danielle Jenner, I agree with the soulmate teaching you a lesson and not necessarily staying around you forever. Marie Stevens, I met a soulmate twin flame 10 years ago. There was an instant recognition like we'd been connected for lifetimes. He was the best and worst time of my life, and it totally changed me. That's what you said. And Jackie Budd, my soul contract seems to be expiring now. I'm learning to love myself. Good. Good.
Okay.
And we've had a few requests for readings, so like we said at the beginning, if you would like a reading, we're happy to pull a card for you, but the bargain is that you put in your little bit on what you think a soulmate
Little bit of
and,
input. Yeah.
or a twin flame is, and then we can, that's a nice energy exchange for us, so please don't just ask for a card without putting something on.
I've got one here, another one to read out. So Claire Grant, I believe that once you have connected in one life, your soul finds each other again in the next. Okay.
Yeah,
Can
I think that as well. Just got to adjust my mic, sorry.
I don't think you ever lose contact.
Do you think
Because
so?
you're connected at that source, I think it would be automatic that when you pass over, if you like, that you're connected anyway, so you're not going to be apart from each other. You'll be a part of that same
Well, look, as
group.
an imprint on
And
your
it's
soul.
like going home to your family after a
Yeah.
day's
So
work.
I haven't
you'll be-
ever had that. So
Yeah.
do you think it's just ignorance, just where I've not been aware? Because
wouldn't
I've
say
just
ignorance.
never, not ignorance, but you know,
It's
like,
just not knowing. You can't. It's like
yeah, I
anything.
just-
People can ask you questions about all sorts. If you haven't experienced, how are you supposed to?
Yeah, so I can't honestly say that I've remembered it or thought of a time where someone's had that big an impact, apart from like my husband. That's the only person.
Yeah.
Like, I think that they've taught me something. I've learned something.
What about your children? Don't you think your children
Would they be?
Yeah,
part?
they
think
could
that
be,
is-
absolutely.
I think they
Yep,
is.
forget
Yeah, I
about
suppose
that.
that's kind of like
Labour,
because you
that
tend
gives you a
because you
lot.
tend to kind of think of that as a separate thing, don't you?
Yeah.
Like your kids is
Which
kind
is
of,
not
you don't,
necessarily
yeah, you
so.
don't think
So
of
your
it as
children
being
would
that
come
way.
into it, and
Your parents,
your
your whole
parents.
family unit.
Yeah.
One way, not all of them at once
Yeah.
necessarily, but individuals within that
Yeah.
family group can be a big learner.
I do
My
think
mum would think that of me when I was a kid, believe me. Yeah, very much.
Yeah, so it seems like it goes in lots of, there's no right or wrong answer.
No, I just need to revisit it.
Going to go with whatever you feel is right.
And your own experience, like someone said, didn't know they experienced when they met their soulmate, that feeling they got that they'd known them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Again, do we all, but is it true that we do find it through our lifetime? Is it true that it will happen? Like Mandy said, it could be the end of your lifetime.
Yeah, do you know, because
do
you just
with
make wrong
everybody.
decisions and turn the wrong way.
Oh
and
yeah,
turn
'cause
away
it's all
from the
about
path.
personal choices, isn't it?
I
Turn
think,
away from the
yeah,
path.
it depends what your soul contract is. If you're meant to have that in your life, if your soul needs that, if you had it in one life and you didn't need it in this life, maybe you'll be single forever in this life and you don't need that.
We'll learn all your lessons, then right at the end you get like a little reward.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not looking as well. Maybe spirit are like trying to put things in your way and you're
Not
just
seeing
not seeing them. So your life is a mess, your life is complicated because you're not listening. And then for me, what spirit would do would make it even more complicated, make it more difficult to try and get you
I
off.
think it was Oprah Winfrey, she said that once you get a lesson, it starts off as a little tiny chip being thrown at you, and then
Absolutely,
you
yeah.
don't ignore it, then it becomes a bigger
Bigger
stone,
one.
until at the
Yeah.
end you get like a brick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, 100%.
Until you actually
Yeah.
gotta go,
Yeah.
oh, right, this
And
is
then you
what
go,
I
that
need
I'm
to
not on the right path. I
Yeah.
should have listened when it was a
Yeah.
chip. I should
Yeah.
have moved
Moved
then.
on.
And then
or you just don't see it or realise it, and then
Yeah.
We don't want to face it.
yeah, that's
You'd
the other
rather
thing.
just
Yeah,
sit
but
in
sometimes
the-
it's a hard choice, isn't it?
You'd rather just sit in the discomfort and all the turmourle and everything
get
because
used to it.
it's safer
Yeah, it's
than
what
the
you know,
fear
isn't
of
it? Yeah.
moving on or,
Yeah, outside your
separating or
comfort zone.
taking the leap because it's what you know.
It's
It's
easy
what
to
you
bury
know.
your head in the sand.
Exactly, that's
sometimes.
exactly the
Because
scenario.
it's bad, if it's what you know, then sometimes that's...
Yeah.
Okay, so if we've got any more people, otherwise we'll do a couple of live readings to some of the guys that have,
Well, there's a lady, Alexandra Marla.
yeah,
Um,
Alexandra.
Alexandra Marla. I feel very strongly that we have soul groups that find each other again and again in each lifetime, but in different types of relationships, absolutely. In one life I might be a mother, and in the next, let's have a look.
Yeah, totally agree.
See more, it says.
Yeah.
It won't let me see more. And in the next I think it's saying your sister or whatever. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
one life you might, in the next your son, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe that also.
Yeah.
It can play any different role. It could be your worst enemy.
God is your mother.
Yeah, yeah. And I did a past life thing, and I was a guy. I was the main breadwinner of my family, and my mum in my past life was my dad now, and there was no dad at the table. And it was a couple of weeks later, my mum in this life. Then my mum left the home.
Wow. Yeah.
Really weird, really
Well,
weird. So yeah, I
There's
think
a
that.
couple of little comments just come up. Jackie Budd, I love this chat. It's really striking a chord. Well, that's
Oh,
good. I'm
yeah.
glad it's
Thank you.
touching people. Marie Stevens agrees with Alexandra on her thing. Now, this lady, Lydia Miron, if I pronounced it correctly, she's asking about a card, but it's kind of poignant about what we're speaking about. So this might be, if you're going to do a reading, this would be a good one. Please can I have a card? I thought I met my soulmate and he left a year ago. I've never felt so broken, but at the same time I'm learning so much about myself. And your theory on timing makes sense. We met, and your theory makes sense. We met one summer and then couldn't get together, and a year later, like we were saying earlier, I bumped back into him because the timing was right then. And that was it. I now have to learn all the lessons and hope that everything happens as it should, which I have no doubt about that it
Well,
does.
we had a weird thing, didn't we? So when I was 15, and you would have been
A little bit older.
a little bit older, mid-20s,
17.
Almost 30.
I met Cole's his mum and stepdad, because I was working with her at down the pier, Southsea Pier, doing readings, and I was working for them. And then, so I didn't obviously know Colin, I didn't
I
really
didn't
know
live
them.
down here, neither
And
did
they
they.
didn't live down here, they lived in Southampton, and I only came to Portsmouth just for that once a week. And my uncle had got me the job to do the astrology for them. However many years later,
A lot.
a lot of years later, I'm with Colin and his mum in Bournemouth, and we're talking about I said I used to work down here, and she said she worked down here. When she started to describe the booth, I thought that sounds familiar, and it turned out it was I had worked for his mum. Like she said, oh, we had a little girl come and do the astrology, and I was like, oh, it's that little girl. So had I met Colin then, it would have been way off because I was only 15,
I
and
got
he was.
arrested.
Yeah, I think it would have been illegal. He was on his way to prison anyway, but he would have gone down for a little longer. So 30 years.
I think it would have ruined his spiritual reputation.
I did show him a picture of me at 15, so would you have fancied me? But like 20 years later, when I was like 40, then we got together, then it all, you know, in synchronicity, it all worked. So there was a little bubble of something there. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
So,
You never know all the answers though, really.
No,
We're never going to know.
no, that's it. It's fascinating. So thank you guys for chipping in. And I remember Jackie Budd wanting a card. So do you want to pull a card for Jackie?
Yeah.
And then Colin, if you could just let us know who else.
That lady I just spoke about.
What was her name?
Lydia Miron.
Lydia. Okay, I'll do Lydia.
Do you know what's interesting? I do remember the comment that Jackie made about, you know, connecting with herself. And this is typical of this card. So I don't know if you can see that. For me, this feels very much like having to do a lot of work on yourself, but it's also about reminiscing. It's going back in time. So it could be, I'm not going to start going back to certain ages. I normally get a feeling of an age that you need to go back to, which may have been a sensitive time for you. But for me, it feels about reconnecting when you were really young, and I don't know what it is. It's as if you've lost your way a little bit, but it's certainly feeling that you're connecting with yourself. So again, we've got that aspect of ourself, which I feel could be that twin flame, a source of ourself that reconnecting with that part of your soul. So this for me feels as if you're in a really good place at the moment, but also just generally relationships or marriage. If you're in a marriage, it just feels it's you've reconnected with some aspect of your relationship, and with yourself. Okay.
What was the lady's name, Colin?
Her name was Lydia.
Lydia. Interesting, Lydia. I've got the Two of Summer for you, and that is about relationships. And you were saying that you'd come to the end of a relationship. I
She
think.
met him once, didn't work out at that time.
A bit like me.
Met a year later, and then it was over. So she thought she'd met her soulmate.
Right, okay,
and then
well,
it ended.
this card it's about two people coming together. It's unity, it's harmony. It's about relationships as well, the Two of Summer. It's the lovebirds, it's the Two of Cups. So if you're not in a relationship at the moment, this one is indicating that there could be one right around the corner where you are on the same page, where you will be have that soul connection, where you'll be united together. It's saying that if there's any difficulties, any challenging aspects going on around you at the moment, particularly emotional, Lydia, that there will be harmony around it, that you will be on the same page, that there will be unity with it. So that's a good card for you. Who's the next one?
Cheryl Evans.
Do you want to do one, mate? No, you sure? Okay.
Mystic Mandy's not doing it today.
I'm gonna
just
pick
seeing Eddie today.
Yeah.
Oh, can I just say that reading you just finished, Lydia mentioned they were together for 9 years and they had 2 kids as well.
Okay.
So you certainly learnt a lot of lessons and taught each other a lot, and might not have all been positive, but you learnt a lot from each other, I should imagine. Okay, and so who was
Cheryl.
For Cheryl. So I love this song. This is all about that lovely, vibrant, new energy coming in. This is also for me, if there's anything that's been playing on your mind and you've been waiting or you've been wishing for something, then the answer is yes. So if you've got a particular question in mind, because this just brings all that new energy, it's optimism, but also for me, it is about having much more fun and enjoyment. So I want to say this year, it's also about family. I feel family coming together. There's some celebrations that's coming around. But also it's a new energy that brings, if you want to change something. So if something's been sat stagnant for a while, this lovely energy brings in opportunities. So really good card. I can't relate it, we're not relating it just to the topic anyway, are we? So it's quite a general thing. So yeah, just new energy coming in, lots of fun. Okay? There we
Another
go.
one?
Yes, please.
Danielle Jenner.
Danielle. Okay, 10 of Autumn. It's on. These are the animal tarot cards. This is about finances coming around you, Danielle. This is about completion and security. I don't know if there's money coming into you from business, from inheritance, but it's about security on a financial level there. Good family times as well. You might have a birthday or an anniversary or wedding, something coming where there's lots of family coming in soon, where there'll be generations of family. Enjoy all the happy family moments. We've got the sun is shining, we're coming to the end of the Easter holidays, but if there's any time left that you can have time with the family, this will be very positive and making happy memories there. It's about financial security though, in a nutshell, so things should be looking up or you're working towards a nice completed secure state, Danielle. So hopefully whatever it is you're doing, whether it's relationships, money, job, the 10 of Pentacles is always a positive card that does indicate attainment, completion and security in that area.
Okay, I'm still picking up from the other lady.
Oh.
I'm going to have to move on.
Nice comment from Nikki Graham. Really enjoying this today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you for coming on.
And Lydia said thank you for the reading. It was lovely. Thank you. Jackie Budd says that's fascinating, Paula. I found my twin flame by connecting with my inner child.
Yeah, I was going to say that's what I felt, yeah.
Carly Steele, good morning from Ireland. I used to live in Portsmouth and used to visit another cafe. Hello and love to all. I would love a card if it's possible. And then Daniel's just said thanks, Kate. Perfect. So Carly Steele.
Okay, so I'll pull one for Carly. So Carly, I want to I've got two cards here for you. I hope you can see that. Okay. So for me, there's been some sort of, I don't know whether there's been some heartache or there's been some difficult times where you've been felt quite disappointed recently. But what I'm feeling here is as if there was a bit of a blow, but then it was suddenly over and completed, and it's like now we've got some swift movement forward. So I want to go around sort of the next 8 weeks. I don't know if this was something, or I'm feeling it could have been something in your personal life which is sort of shook you up a little bit, okay? So I'm not sure how far I'm going back. I don't want to put timers on it in case I get it wrong. It's just being aware of that energy has been around you for a while, but it could be something that, you know, it was something that was out of the blue, but a little bit of upset there. What I want to say is it feels to me very much like endings and beginnings, but with the Eight of Wands there, this is all about moving forward, but it's as if this has created some big change, but it is a change for the positive, okay? So whatever that is, but moving forward and lots of healing coming your way, okay?
Okay, so
Can we do one more?
Oh, okay.
Because the lady that contributed a nice little bit earlier, Alexandra Marla, would like a card.
Okay. So Alexandra, you've got the King of Spring here. This is about being ambitious. It's about stepping up, taking charge, having more authority in the areas or the life that you're wanting. You might find that you've got somebody who's strong, who's very wise, who's maybe a little bit mature around you at the moment, helping you, supporting you and guiding you here. Because it's a King card, it is somebody who's been there, done it, or if it's yourself. When you get court cards, they're more difficult to understand because they can be a person or they can be a situation. So it splits into two. But if this is a situation around yourself, it is asking you to take charge, be enthusiastic again, and have leadership skills. And it indicates the feeling I'm getting as you move forward over the next couple of weeks that things are going to start coming around you where you will feel more ambitious, where you'll have a bit more of a mojo, and when you'll start taking more charge in the area of your life that you want it to be there. It says here, now's your moment to go into a leadership role. So if you get offered an opportunity, go for it. So,
Are we finished?
We're finishing.
No, all right, I just got another twist. I was just sat there daydreaming.
Google it again.
No, daydreaming. So like, all the chat about the soulmates, we've all been thinking on this everyday level of the common person in the street, you know, and yet, so for me, when you think back in history and all the massive events that shook the world, certain individuals, say, let's go for example, Hitler, and if you go on other continents, Pol Pot, Genghis Khan, blah blah, I mean, huge Donald Trump, God bless him, I like the geezer. Political. So I was just thinking, because I've always been a fan of the war and the history and tactics in battles and all of that stuff, so it's natural for me to think on this level. But when you think about the connection of groups of people that have altered the world, so Goebbels, Hitler, Goering, Himmler, you know, there was an obvious drawing to them, each other, but look at the stuff that they were drawn to do. And I bet there was a connection, because how would you get people that would change the planet, literally, on such a grand scale if there wasn't some connection between them and to do the things
Can you
that
relate
they
that to
did.
today then? Someone like the so-called ISIS or something?
Why
These
not?
people have a
Everyone-
to the same ideology, kind of like what
Well,
they-
we all live in the same, we're from the same source, we're under the same natural law, and no one is exempt, ever. And so, yeah, look at today then, who's teaching who and who's drawn together, not just in things like that, like ISIS and all those really extreme groups that do stuff, but then look on the opposite side about those that are grouping to combat that same thing, you know? So yeah, on a worldly scale, I think it's huge, really, if you look at that and think who's drawn together and how much are they having an impact on you, on me,
So
on
let's
the
just change.
economy.
Well, let's just
Imagine
change
as
what I
well.
thought, because I was thinking that. So my conclusion was then that if you'd met your soul mate or twin flame, that you'd know it, because something's good, bad, whatever. It was a shake-up thing. But if it's like that, then I suppose you might not necessarily realise it. You know, why you've been drawn into that sort of.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a
Yeah,
negative
I was just thinking, otherwise, if a soulmate or
yeah.
friend comes into your life, the
Yeah.
idea was that it's good or bad or whatever. It's you know
Yeah.
it. You know, then maybe you don't then.
Well,
It's a
I
lesson
think
for the soul, whatever it
It
is.
is,
Whatever it
yeah,
is.
I think it depends on your mindset as well, because some people, so those that are necessarily focused on, right, all I'm going to do with my life, I'm focused on money, and 9 times out of 10 they end up with it because that's where their focus is.
Oh, that's where we're going wrong.
And then, so if on your everyday life, I think if you're so, well, not even earthly, but to be just involved in the killing and the annihilation of other cultures and people, I don't think you're operating on that level. You're on a completely different level. You don't necessarily see the spiritual. It doesn't mean those that are motivated by money don't have a spiritual outlook at all, because I always think that it depends on what you do with your wealth that shows what level you're on, or any of your fortune on whatever level. I think it's how you operate with it and how you show yourself to others, what you do.
Whatever experience is, it's all a lesson for the soul, isn't it? We know that.
For sure, you can't go wrong. There's no such
That's
thing
what we're here for.
as a wrong
Yeah, and there's,
or a right
And we don't know what-
experience.
we're never going to know
It's-
properly, and
No.
maybe it's different for everyone anyway. Maybe there's not one wrong rule for one.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
And when-
different.
Well,
We
we're
don't
not
trust our
meant-
instincts anymore.
Yeah, but
though,
we're
do
not
we?
always, we're not meant to get it right, because otherwise we wouldn't have to keep learning, would we?
There's
We
things
I don't
always-
think
we
there's
don't
right
always
or
get
wrong.
it right.
It's just
no.
whatever feels
I
right
don't
for
think
you.
there's right or
No.
wrong. There's just live your life, do what you can under the circumstances you're dealt, come out of it as best as you can, and then evaluate what you got when you're dying. Simple as that for me. It's not
That
right
sounds
or
good
wrong.
to me. Sounds good to me.
Okay, so thank you everyone
Thank
for
you,
joining in
everybody.
and watching us. Keep an eye on our page. I'm just
Subscribe.
going to do a little bit of
Click and
promotion
subscribe.
now. Click and subscribe to 2 YouTube channels. The Loose Mystics, and actually 3 Loose Mystics, Kate May Modern Day Mystic, and the guy who's producing this for us, Spiritual Productions. They need so many likes on their subscribe to keep these shows going, so please like
Yeah,
and
that's
subscribe below.
important. That is.
Also, there's a Facebook page for Spiritual Productions with all of their different things going on it. And keep an eye on our Mystic River Lounge. And if you're interested in face painting, it's lemon jelly.
Lemon jelly.
Now, it is Easter, and I am the bearer of good things. I have a little egg,
Oh.
and even for Richard, I have a little egg for you for being a bad producer. So thank you very much,
There's one for
everyone.
you.
Oh, well, I made
Anyone else want to know?
cracking.
Yeah.
I was going to be good today.
You cracked me up. Have an excellent weekend.
Extremely grateful. Extremely.
And don't exaggerate too much.
Thank you very
And
much,
set an
everyone.
example. Anyway, I think I'm funny, don't I?
Right, so keep an eye on the page, subscribe to those YouTube channels. If you want to see what else is next, you can either message us or just keep an eye on all our social media. Thank you very much. See you all later.
Thank you very
much.
Bye.
Bye. Right.
Just think on it. Go on.
Press stop.
Yeah. If you could press stop and we'll see you later. Oh,